Here we are in the Arizona upland Sonoran desert, just outside of Tucson, Arizona, at the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. I've heard a lot of talk coming from folks like Putin, for example, about how warmer climate will help something. Notice that the Arizona upland Sonoran desert is a thriving ecosystem, even here in a zoo-like setting at the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. This is early January 2019. The desert is doing fine. We come down here to the lower Colorado Valley Sonoran Desert, what is supposed to be a simulation of a drier environment. And it's a little too wet for it here. So you can see very little plant life growing in this little patch that is supposed to represent a slightly drier environment. Now let's go up the slope, which is equivalent to going up a nearby mountain range or increasing precipitation and decreasing temperature. So we're going from the driest environments in this region, the lower Colorado Valley in the Sonoran Desert, up through the Arizona upland Sonoran Desert, which is what we are naturally surrounded by here and in Tucson, Arizona. Then we go up what is supposed to be a little higher, so they throw a little more water on it here at the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum to create a semi-desert grassland. And it actually looks pretty good. Remember, it's January. These are almost all warm season grasses that grow primarily during the summer season, during the so-called Arizona monsoon, typically beginning in July and running through mid or late September. So this still looks pretty good, and that's because they managed to pour a lot of water onto it. Notice the cactus is pretty dominant, as well as the agave, but there's quite a bit of grass here. Move further upslope, they are adding more water, but they can't keep it colder. They can't cool it down here. All they can do is add more water to try to simulate an ecosystem that grows at slightly higher elevation. So here we have Mesquite Grassland. Mesquite Grassland transitioning into the dwarf tree or shrub environment such as Chaparral. It became so difficult to maintain, they gave up on it and built a path through in the later years of the desert. But at higher elevation, starting at about 4,000 feet elevation, as opposed to the approximately 2,500 feet that we are here in the heart of the upland Sonoran Desert. Here at 4,000 feet we have Chaparral, and there's really not much going on. There's Algerita in the foreground, another one in the background, but there are dozens of species that just didn't make it here because although they added a little water, they can't keep it cooler, and they can't quite keep up with the water balance either. We move further up in elevation, which again they're trying to simulate by adding more water. Evergreen woodland, the oak pine woodland, and a subset of this is the oak woodland and oak savanna, which I studied for many years and became known for when I was active on campus at the University of Arizona. So you can see an oak tree doing fine, a Quercus emeryii, emery oak, named for a military officer during the early days of colonial occupation. And that's about it. Very little is growing here. There's a manzanita, there's a berberis, that's the genus, there's one oak, that's it. There's a lot of things missing here that are normally found at approximately 5,000 feet elevation. You get further upslope, it becomes increasingly difficult for anybody to create a simulation in real time on the land. So here we're supposed to have evergreen woodland, juniper, pinyon woodland, and then on up to the pine fir forest behind me. And it's pretty much gone. You can see a nearly dead, or maybe already dead, maybe just dying pine tree there in the background, but there's no spruce trees. There's an Arizona cypress tree, an alligator juniper tree right here, named for the plates on the bark that makes it look like an alligator. And here's a pinyon tree, and all this is produced by adding more water, but again they can't make it colder, so it becomes increasingly difficult as we go up the slope to simulate what happens when you go up to 7,000 feet. And that's what they're trying to represent here, is an ecosystem that grows at 7,000 feet. the pine, fir, forest, all the way up 9,000 feet nearby Mount Lemmon in the Santa Catalina Mountains. That's 9,000 feet. You got spruce and fir trees up there that you just cannot grow down here, no matter how much water you throw in. So we cannot reproduce ecosystems, try as we might, and we depend upon those ecosystems. At the edge of extinction, nature bats last, and only love remains.